You have found yourself on another episode of Locked On Bulls. In today's episode, we're going to talk about the Raptors' reported interest in Ayo Dosunmu. Me and Pat are also going to break down what success could look like for the Chicago Bulls in the 2023-24 season. And Grant Williams' deal makes Nikola Vucevic's looks a little bit better. We're going to get to all that and more on today's Locked On Bulls.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily podcast on the Chicago Bulls, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for tuning in to Locked On Bulls, member of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. That's Pat the Designer, host and creator of the Windy City Breeze and host of the Chicago Bears podcast over at ESPN 1000. I'm Haize, host and creator of Chicago Bulls and Chicago Bears Central's YouTube channels and podcasts. But Pat, Ayo Dosunmu, listed on a couple of different outlets as one of the best free agents left on the market. Reportedly, the Raptors are interested in Ayo Dosunmu. Now, Ayo Dosunmu is a restricted free agent. He has a qualifying offer of a little bit over $5 million. I'm going to ask you this, Pat. Are you worried at all about the Raps taking Ayo Dosunmu, or do you think maybe it's best that Ayo does move on?
I want to see Ayo develop here. I just do. We drafted him. He played well for us his rookie year. I would love to see him stay in Chicago. I would love to see him. I don't think that Ayo is going to be the player we saw last season. I do think he needed to show us more, but I don't think he's going to end up like his NBA career is going to be that guy that we saw last season for the rest of his life, right? I just don't believe that. So for me, I really want to see Ayo be able to come out and develop as a Chicago Bull. But at the end of the day, is he going to get enough playing time for him to take over a role here? Probably not. I think we all know he's not. He can play. He's one of those people, like I always talk about, that it irritates Haize when I call him that, right? Like, he can play point guard. He's not a point guard. He's a combo guard who, for the most part, right, can fill in that role for us. And I think that he's just not going to get enough of an opportunity with the additions of Javon Carter, with, I think, more of a want for Dalen Terry to take on a bigger role coming into this season. I just don't know if he's going to get those same opportunities that he was given last season, especially how last season ended. So it might be best for him to move on to the Raptors, but it's not what I hope for.
That's fair. The way I look at it is that the Bulls knew when they came into the season, understanding, or this offseason, that the market was going to set the value for Ayo Dosunmu. What that market sets the value at is going to determine whether the Bulls bring him back or not. I fully do believe that. So I think that the Bulls have a number in mind that they're willing to keep Ayo up to. If the Raptors offer more than that, shout out to them. Shout out to Ayo Dosunmu for getting it back. It's unfortunate because I do think if Ayo didn't have, unfortunately, the down season in the second year, he would absolutely be back by now. They probably would have signed him by now.
Yeah. They'd have signed him during the season. Probably.
Exactly. So it is what it is, unfortunately, when it comes to that. But, I hope that Ayo can stay here as well. I know a lot of Bulls fans are down on Ayo, but we do that. We do that so much as a fan base. The way that I look at it is that at some point, it's time to just realize, can we give guys until they're 24, 25 years old? Can we start doing that at least?
Well,
everybody's so ready to give up on people.
It's just next season. It's just next season.
That's why I said 24 or 25. Well, okay. I built that in a little bit.
It's just built that in a little bit. I'm with you on that. I'll ask you this though, right? Like, when you weigh it, you can't develop everybody. You just can't. It's not possible to see everybody develop on your team. There's not enough minutes to go around. If you had to pick on the person that you believe is going to develop with the highest ceiling, is Ayo among those players when you're talking about a Dalen Terry, when you're talking about a Patrick Williams, when you're talking about some of those other young Kobe White even. I mean, Kobe White still has to be included in this conversation now that we've re-signed him, right? Is there enough room for Ayo still on this team? I think is the question that you got to go in here and ask.
Here's what I think is that Ayo Dosunmu, I'll say yes, only because if Ayo Dosunmu comes back to be the defensive player that he was consistently in his rookie year, there's always going to be space for a player like that. Always. So I hope that can, and having Alex Caruso and his versatility to be able to guard 1 through 3 helps that as well. But it's up to Ayo. Ayo's going to have to own his own development to a degree and realize, all right, listen, I worked myself out of my rotation, my starting spot. Yeah. I'm gonna have to make my name defensively again, and then we'll see what comes from that. He's gonna have to retain that mindset. And so, and don't get me wrong, I look at the Raptors roster, and I look at that, and I can say, hey, listen. There's a lot of worse rosters than Ayo can go to. I don't know what he does for their need for shooting, because it really looks like he just helps double down on everything they do there. They already signed Dennis Schroeder there as well.
The same team, bro.
It's like, the same,
like if he goes to the Raptors, it's just like, oh, black guy that's 6'5" with a 6'9" wingspan. Check.
I mean, the thing is that they did draft Grady Dick, so the Ayo Dick 1-2 punch on an alley-oop. I feel like that could be some gold there for their commentary team. Even though the Raptors commentary team sucks, but listen.
Hey, it's just. But they gonna change his name. It's not gonna be Ayo as soon as he get there. It's gonna be Ayo to Dick. That wasn't my best one. I'm not gonna lie.
That wasn't your best one, but it was
my
still
best
funny
one.
nonetheless.
But
it was still funny. But I mean, you got to look at it. They got Dennis Schroeder down there. The person that's projected to back him up is Malachi Flynn, who is not.
Hey, yo, you want to talk about? I ain't know he was still around. Who he play for?
So, I mean, he's only ever played for the Raptors. So,
hey, bro, I forgot my man's exist. I feel like he had a hot 2 weeks. I remember him cooking for like a solid 2 weeks. Nah, wasn't Malachi Flynn on the Memphis Grizzlies, or not Memphis, on the Minnesota Timberwolves?
No, he's been in the league 3 years, all 3 years with Toronto.
Johnny Flynn was a
Timberwolf. Oh, you're talking about Johnny Flynn. Oh, no, he's definitely not in the league. He sucks. Last time I did that, somebody slid my DMs. But yeah, all I can say, yeah, you don't remember Jordan Crawford? That guy sucks. Had to go off on him.
Yeah, that.
But ultimately, here's what I'll say is that, I mean, I can see why the Raptors. I can see it a lot. I can see why him and his agent may be interested in there. And don't forget, even if he does sign an offer sheet with them, it does not preclude him from coming back to the Chicago Bulls. Now, on the flip side of that, what do you think for you, right? We'll talk about what the Bulls would do in a second, but like, what do you realistically think is too much for Ayo Dosunmu? If the Raptors come in with $9 million, are you letting that walk off?
Probably because of the moves I've made already. I brought back Kobe White. I've re-signed Vooch. I'm probably got $9 million. I'm probably letting you walk. And it's tough because I think that he will go there and he will develop and he will be a player, especially paired with Scotty Barnes. And I don't know what Siakam is there. I'm not going to lie to you. So that'll be, like, is he there? Is he not there? They've been trying to trade Pascal Siakam for
years.
Pascal Siakam is the healthy version of John Collins. Like, ever since they signed this man, they've been trying to trade him. Nobody wants Pascal, but everybody wants Pascal for not what the Raptors is asking for.
Well, they want him, but it's the fact of also that contract, bro. It's like you can't ask for a lot. Yeah, and have a ridiculous contract. So it's like the combination of that is like, come on, bro. What do you expect us to do with this case?
I think that Ayo Dosunmu, if they offer him $9 million, it'll be looked at as a steal in the long run.
That's fair. By the way, Pascal Siakam's contract next season, $37 million.
Well, y'all complaining about Zach.
Yeah.
Whole time, no, I think we did that, though. They dang near the same player. I think we did that. When we looked at the numbers,
same player,
we was like, they kind of the same dude.
That sounds like something you would have said. I wouldn't have said that, but I get you.
Nah, we went through, maybe it was me and Kid, like we started going through their numbers. I was like, I'll take Zach LaVine over Pascal Siakam. Then we actually started like looking through these stats, and I was like, they kind of put up the same production offensive wise, and Pascal can block shots. I still take Zach though.
We'll see. But ultimately, man, hey, I mean, hopefully we find out soon. And this is always for people who are asking, why hasn't there been a decision made on Ayo Dosunmu yet? This is typical in free agency. Restricted free agents typically get they get handled last. Like, it
Yeah.
just is what it is. Before you have your, because keep in mind, if you sign a player to an offer sheet, that money is locked up until the team decides to match or let you get the player. And so typically, you don't want to have your money locked up until you make sure you exhaust all of the means. So it's coming for Ayo Dosunmu. We'll see if what the decision ultimately holds when it comes to him.
Here's the real question. Is anybody actually going to go $9 million? I think Ayo's market might actually not be very good.
Oh yeah, I don't think Ayo's not getting $9 million. I think at most, I asked that question, but realistically, I think Ayo probably at most 7.5.
That's crazy to say because it's only $2 million. Only $2 million. Only $2 million. I'll think about it a lot more matching them for 7.5.
Yeah, 7.5 is where you start saying you start looking at it and say, all right, listen, how do we really see him progressing? And if you see that, you look, because for $7 million, what he was defensively, keep in mind, I think people forget too, Ayo Dosunmu his rookie year wasn't just a good defender. He had some of the best defensive analytics in the league his rookie year at the guard as a guard defender. So, hey, listen, that alone is worth $7 million if he can get back to that.
Yeah, I told you. Listen, I mean, he probably would make a lot less, but like a younger version of Chris Dunn with better offense, I'll take it.
There you go. There you go. Next up, we're going to be talking about the Bulls' success and how we can measure their success next season, considering the additions that they made. But before we do that, I got to talk to you guys about one of our sponsors, and that is BetterHelp. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. And sometimes in life, we are faced with tough choices, and the path forward isn't always clear. Whether you're dealing with decisions around your career, relationships, or anything else, therapy helps you stay connected to what you really want while you navigate your life, so you can move forward with confidence and excitement. Trusting yourself to make decisions that align with your values is like anything. The more you practice it, the easier it gets. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out the brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Let therapy be your map with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. Music,
hey, like Zach LaVine.
I'm like, hey man, look, no, the DeMar pump fake. The music, crazy. It's crazy.
And then 9 they just come straight at bow.
Let's come in. But whoa, that was that Zion.
That was that Zion. It's crazy.
Zion Williamson and porn star.
That was that Zion.
See, I used to use the phrase, you got a little too much dip on your chip when people would get a little ahead of themselves. Now it's like, hey, you coming in a little hot there. You got that Zion.
That's Zion, man. That's that Zion.
You need to chill
out.
out.
That's wild.
But you presented a great question while we were getting ready for the show, and that is, how do we measure the success for the Chicago Bulls this season? Some Bulls fans, very pessimistic, will say things like, oh, well, we didn't do anything to make us a championship contender. We're still going to be a first-round exit. We're still going to be this. We're still going to be that. It's really personal how you view the team. But, Pat, how are you planning on judging the success of the Chicago Bulls this season?
I think it's really about the conversation that we just had, right, about a guy like Ayo Dosunmu. You look back, I'll go all the way back to 2019. That's when we drafted Kobe White. We got Kobe White on the team. We have Ayo Dosunmu, Patrick Williams, Marco Simonovic, Dalen Terry, now Julian Phillips. None of them have developed.
Kobe's has some,
right? But like not to the point where we hoped he would as a number 4 overall or a number 7 overall pick. Not Patrick Williams to the point where he we'd hoped as a number 4 overall pick. Boy, I stumbled my way through that sentence, didn't I? But I think that, to me, success for this team is winning. It is getting back to that 4 to 6 seed, to where, okay, I think we might even take the disabled player exception into the season and see kind of where this team is, because if they utilize that puts them into the luxury tax. So if you're in that 4th, 5th, 6th seed, it will make a lot more sense to me that they use it at that time, trade for a guy that's going to help the team on the last year of his deal. But I think at the end of the day, we're talking about taking steps toward the Chicago Bulls trying to win a championship. And the only way that the Bulls are going to take steps towards winning a championship is being able to develop the young talent that you have on your team. And it's not just about the talent that's here right now. You have to have a staff in place that's going to develop talent in the future. Like I know contrary to popular belief that people think that we just have no draft capital, but there's a lot of draft capital coming up after the 2025 season. We have all our picks after the 2025 season. So for me, I look at this as the Bulls' successful season is getting back to that 4th or 5th spot. And one of your young pieces that you've drafted over the last 4 years actually taking a step in the right direction. I mean, a legit step. Like, we come out of this season, like, it's not just Zach LaVine. A step to the point where we're on this podcast next year saying we don't have to re-sign DeMar. We could do a sign and trade with DeMar and be okay. That's the kind of step that I think the Bulls need to see for a successful season this year.
That's fair. That's fair. The way that I look at it and judge it is that I do have a win number in mind. I think if the Bulls can get, we've talked about like how many close games they lost, how many games they lost by math.
Yeah.
I'm saying if they can get between 45 and 48 wins, that's a successful season for the Chicago Bulls. That pretty much gets you outside of the play-in area. Well, by last year, we'll see how this year shakes out. And I think that shows progression. That shows getting back on the path that you were prior. And then the difference between then and now would be you got DeMar's contract coming off. You can extend him, decide what you want to do with him. You got Lonzo Ball's contract set to come off the year after that. You can decide what you want to do. And you just have more friendly deals overall that if you do decide to do a move, you can do that. You have all your first-round picks after 2025, or have a first-round pick this upcoming year. So, there's a lot of reason for, to look at that and say, okay, this could be a monicum of success for the Bulls. So, it comes down to that. And I think that, a lot of Bulls fans are going to want to hear that. They're going to say, well, if we can't get out the first round, what was it all for? Unfortunately, it comes in steps, and we took a major step back last season. Understandably so, we didn't have a point guard for the most part to start that season. We got one this year. Let's see what he brings us.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I brought the stat to the last pod. 61% is how many games the Chicago Bulls won with the two people that we said are a point guard, Alonzo Ball and Patrick Beverly. And so for me, I think the Bulls will take a step in the right direction. That doesn't mean championship. And I know everybody believes that if you're not competing for a championship, it's a failed season. No, if you're not competing for a championship and you're a championship level team, then you failed the mission. I don't agree. I love how Giannis said it so eloquently after the playoffs, but that was a failure.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean that he's a failure. Doesn't mean that his team is a failure. But that season,
that team was a failure.
It's a failure. Yeah, I mean, that season is a failure. It's okay. You got to come back. When you're to that point, that's when you start having those conversations. We got Bulls fans that want to have that conversation right now. And we ain't been sniffing a championship since Derrick Rose had both knees. That's a
hell of a way to put that, brother.
I'm just saying, bro, you have to temper your expectations. I know it's what's the direction that this team is going. Hopefully up. Everybody thinks of where the Bulls were last year, 40 and 42, as they're 40 and 42 and they're going down. They can go the other direction.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I'm just too glass half full with all of it, but I see the additions that the Bulls made. I see the additions that the Bulls made in the organization as far as development and different things like that. And I actually feel good about how this offseason has gone for the Chicago Bulls.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I talked about it over on Central. Like, the way that the Bulls have added three-point shooting that was much needed, theoretically on paper, we have to see it come together actually in the games, and I understand that. But you've helped shore up something that was the reason why you lost at least 5 to 8 games last season. On top of, and then look, didn't even factor in how many 20-point leads did we give up last season? like, I really do think that, and I hope Bulls fans keep an open mind once the season starts. But like, I really do think, like, with more veteran leadership, with having players now that come in that are playoff and battle tested, that have gone through those grinds, I do think that, and better defense, like those games that we saw leads completely dwindle down and disappear because of shooting, because of lack of defense, whatever it was. We're going to start winning some of those games. And I think once Bulls fans start realizing that the last couple of seasons sucked, but if we start turning those things around, those in-between things, I don't think Bulls fans really realize if we don't lose half of those 20-point leads that we blew last season, we're a 45-win team alone.
And here's the wild part. That's crazy how many we actually blew. We blew quite a few. But here's the thing that I think changes.
That's what she said.
Hey, I was trying to get through it. I knew I wasn't gonna make it. Yo,
Zion Williamson.
Woo!
And porn stars.
Hey, I was trying to just breeze past it. I was like,
I
maybe
wasn't gonna
Haize
let
ain't
you.
gonna catch
I wasn't gonna let you.
Maybe he not gonna catch it. That's another one. It's another one for Zion.
She definitely caught it. That's for sure.
Well, as long as he didn't, I guess. You know what I mean?
Hey, you never know. Hey, there's a lot of Jalen Green going on out here.
Okay, all right. I think I don't even know where I was going with. Oh, my point was going to be that at the end of all of this, the biggest issue that we saw a ton last season was the Bulls defense. You build a 20-point lead and then you wouldn't score for 9 minutes. So now you've got the defense and you've got the players that can turn that defense into offense or get out on a break offensively, or lead the break offensively. And a Javon Carter, you add Kobe White back into that. So I think things will be a little bit. They'll be better. I don't expect this season to be the same struggle that last season was. Now, do I expect a championship? No. Do I expect us to all of a sudden be back at the top like we were with Lonzo? No. But we'll see, man.
Good Lord. We'll see. Hey, next up, we're going to be talking about Grant Williams and his 5-year, $54.3 million deal. We'll get into all that right after during this. I forgot we don't have an actual ad break there.
No ad.
It's going to play out and zone out. Make sure you guys check out Locked On Bulls is free and available on every podcasting platform of your choice, as well as YouTube and the Odyssey app. But let's go ahead and get into it, Pat. Grant Williams, 5 years, a little over $50 million deal. Nikola Vucevic got 3 years, $60 million. A lot of Bulls fans and I've seen a lot of outlets as well say that the Bulls may have overpaid for Nikola Vucevic. When you see a deal like this, how does this make you feel about the Vooch deal?
Listen, you paid a lot of money for a dude that pissed off Jimmy Butler. Can't make me feel that bad. All of the deals make me feel good this offseason, dog. Like Fred VanVleet got $130 million. Fred VanVleet can kind of shoot. Like that's his best talent. You know what I mean? Dylan Brooks got $80 million to be scrappy. Like none of these deals that the Bulls have given out hurt me. None of them make me feel bad. The Vooch is a top 10 center. We will continue to say this because it is what the numbers say. Is a top 10 center in the league and one that you would not have been able to replace. You got that for $60 million.
Yeah.
Grant Williams ain't even top 10 fat guys in the NBA. Like he's not
stretch mark 4.
He's not even a top 10 stretch mark 4.
He's not a top 10 stretch mark 4.
Bro, like,
you got 10 stretch mark 4s above Grant Williams.
Big dudes in this league, bro. I don't know, bro. Like, I like the scrappiness. I like the grittiness. Y'all know that I love them players on the Bulls. But realistically, think about what Grant Williams brings and then ask yourself, would you have paid Patrick Beverley $54 million? Grant Williams brings a lot of talk, some good defense.
Batman costume he's bringing as well. You know, the Batman costume.
Hey, that Batman. Hey, that's what got him traded. That's what got him cut. That's what got him cut. When Jason Tatum said, "What the are you doing?" He's like, Yep. It's my last run, y'all. My last run.
Yep, that's it. I'm out of here.
I mean, listen, Grant Williams isn't a bad player. I'm not going to sit here and say that. But what does Grant Williams do that is anything close to the production that Vooch can give you?
Missing threes.
All right. You got me there.
I think that's about it there, brother. And don't get me wrong, I like Grant Williams as a role player. Like he's a role player. He understands how to play with other ball dominant players. I like all that. I'm not gonna lie. Like he's a solid role player on your team, and it just reminds you how much salaries have ballooned up to the fact that a guy that has never averaged more than 9 points per game, or never even as high as 9 points per game, is getting that type of money nowadays, bro.
Nah, I mean, listen, though, at the end of the day, I don't want to make it seem like we're like losing our minds over his deal either. It's $11 million.
Yeah.
But I just don't see him as this, like, I don't know. I feel like there were times last season with the over-reliance on putting Grant Williams out there hurt the Celtics.
You say you feel like there were times where Grant Williams hurt the Celtics?
Where the over-reliance on him coming into the game when he would get it, like, especially in the playoff run, like, I feel like there were just moments where that just hurt the Celtics. Because you were, like, expecting this guy to be, like, the gritty defender that's stopping everybody on the other side, but then at the end of the day, he ends up just being a stretch mark 4, as you like to call him.
I mean, that's what he was. I stand by my analysis. You know me, I dig in. But
that's a tough episode for you.
We'll
allow it.
Come on.
Hey, listen. Hey, you having some tough ones out here, dog.
I know. I'm very poignant in my analysis is all I can say. I mean, every once in a while you got to dig them out. But with that said,
I think that's the episode. I think that's the one right there.
That's the one that did it.
That's the one. Hey, that might be the career. It might be the career. We might have to call it. We might have to call it a. Hey man, Locked On been real fun. Really appreciate the opportunity.
Will y'all tune in to Locked On Monday?
Hey, yeah. Yeah. They definitely not putting two brothers back on this show. I'll never do this again.
Anyway, oh man, when it comes to Grant Williams, all jokes aside, like he's a solid role player, man. He understands how to impact the game on both sides of the ball to some degree, which the skill level dictates. And it is what it is. I'm glad that he got his money. He goes to the Dallas Mavericks that actually need his skill set a lot as well. And so, we'll see how it pays off. But like, I think I brought this up because we just got to remind people, y'all sometimes got to chill on Vooch, bro. Chill on Vooch, man.
I got to chill on Vooch, bro. Yeah, I got to chill on Vooch. It's I think for me, when you look at what Vooch can bring, and you look at some of the deals that have been put out there, there's no way you could be mad at the Vooch deal. But here's the thing, too. It was much mad at the Javon Carter deal.
This is true.
Once I saw that, I was like, "Oh, we not being
really
realistic."
Made no sense to me. Yeah, that made no sense. Once I
saw Muzz being mad at that, I was like, "Oh, we not being realistic."
Yeah, that's crazy. Like, how could you be mad at the Javon Carter deal? That really makes no sense.
Bro, he making $6 million a year. And here's the thing: I think I'm probably gonna drop a reaction video. I don't think people really understand. We really went and got Pat Bev that shoots 40%.
Yeah,
like he legit and less mouthy. So, maybe he not going to pop off the Vooch when Vooch miss an assignment, and maybe that's what the Bulls need. But you really went and got Pat Bev. But he shoot 40% consistently. It's not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing at all. Go ahead and send us home, Pat.
Hey, man, I appreciate y'all rocking with us as long as you guys have, man. It's been a fun time here at Locked On. Follow us on everything at Locked On Bulls. You can follow me on everything at Pat the Designer, especially on Threads. Y'all tune in with me on Threads, man. Haize, get over there.
Ah, man. Another social media app, bro. I mean, I'll be over. Y'all can follow me at.
Hey, Twitter's dying, bro. It's gone.
It's dead.
Hey,
It's dead. The body's just still warm. That's all it is.
Bro,
Twitter's dead, bro. It's done.
We about to change that bird to whatever the Threads logo is.
Exactly. That's what we're going to do here in a second. But y'all can follow me at everywhere at CEO Haize. If I make it Threads, that's what it'll be. CEO Haize at everywhere. But thank you guys for tuning in and making Locked On Bulls your first listen every single day. We'll be back tomorrow breaking down any other news that happens with the Chicago Bulls team, as well as around free agency, how it could impact the Chicago Bulls. But for Pat the Designer, I'm Haize. This has been Locked On Bulls. We out, y'all.
Peace. Gotta start dusting off the resume. Gotta update that.